money, power, and sex. Money, power, and sex. Every hour I'm vexed. However, nevertheless, I feel I'm the best. Real class, for real flex.
Hello. Welcome to the Rebirth. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight I have my boys with me. Well, I should say my men, my gentlemen. Eli to my right, and Paul Loschil to my left. So guys, we have an amazing show. We are going to be talking about the dynamics of sex and money. Now I have to say, I did not come up with this topic. Of course, the man himself, Eli, did. He came up with this topic. But before we jump into that, we just want to, just spend a little bit of time just sending our condolences to the family of Jacob Blake and everything that's going on in Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm sure you guys are aware. It's been all over social media. It's been all over the news. There has been yet another black man has been shot 7 times in the back.
And he survived. So
he has survived.
Yes.
I don't currently know what his state is, but I believe last I heard he was in critical condition.
And he's paralyzed.
He is paralyzed. He is paralyzed from the waist down. Yeah. Now, with that being said, his children was in the car, so they also witnessed this. So trauma.
Right.
When we talk about trauma, come on. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, and also the protest that's going on in Wisconsin. Here comes a 17-year-old, and I'm not even going to say his name because his name is not worth mentioning.
Right.
But a 17-year-old white teen walks into the protest, past the police, and then he opens fire.
With the AR-15.
Say that again?
With an AR-15.
An AR-15. So, two people died.
Protesters, yep.
2 people died. So this is what's going on, in our world. And as much as I want to, the last time we were all together, we were talking about the George Floyd situation. And I had no idea that when we decided to come together tonight and do this show, that we were also going to have to mention again another shooting of a black man.
Right.
So
I mean, this is becoming exhausting. Being black is exhausting. The things you deal with every single day, and black men and women, but in particular, I'm just going, being a black man is exhausting. And to have to deal with this stuff over and over again, and the systematic racism that's been just cast upon us for hundreds of years. Like, I don't even know if it's whoever's in office. I don't think that there's enough legislation to end systematic racism. It's deeply embedded into the American system. So will it ever go away? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know if there isn't police reform, then there's going to be rebellion, and the uprising is already happening. Right. We've been seeing it since George Floyd.
Right.
And in a minute, we're going to be out here with guns, disarming ourselves, and we're going to be busting back. Doc Rivers said it best, we've been loving a country that hasn't loved us.
Right.
And so I don't know what the answer is, but to be honest, and forgive me, but I just feel like the answer is going to eventually end up being violence by us perpetrating it toward the people who are oppressing us.
Right.
And I hate it's going to have to come to that, but I feel like that's what's going to happen if things don't change.
Yeah.
Well, I believe if you look at any world revolution, there's never been a peaceful revolution. There's never been, I mean, even the American Revolution, the colonies against Britain, they didn't just say this is what we want, and Britain just agreed and gave it to them. That's supposed to be on silent. But it's inevitable, and I think at this point we're getting back to the point that the Panthers and the Nation of Islam were in the 70s, as far as building ourselves up and educating ourselves and having our own resources, because without having our own, we have nothing to fall back on. We have nothing to go to. Like, if we can't, like, as a black man with all my physical skills, welding, electrical, this, that, and the other, if I gotta sit in front of a table full of old white men to get a job, like, it's and they have this old mentality of thinking, regardless of the certifications and the paperwork and all the skills that I show, I mean, their personal feelings are never going to allow me to achieve the levels of success or whatever in the company that they've done. So where is it where I can go to a bit black-owned business and give my skills to that business?
Yeah.
We don't have those businesses. But if, regardless of religious affiliations or whatever, if you look at the Nation of Islam in certain Chicago, New York, Newark, there's whole parts of town that are completely Muslim. They have their own schools, they have their own grocery stores, they have their own communities that they can build and grow within themselves. And as black people in general in America, we don't have that. So I think we need to look towards the nation and that platform that they've created and take the religion out of it, and just look at what they've done for themselves as a people, because I believe that's key. And there's a reason why Nation of Islam and Malcolm and a lot of these people were part of the COINTEL program. They were trying to dismantle just that, because they couldn't have us come together. They couldn't have the faction of Malcolm and the Muslims and Martin and the Christians come together. Like they had to dismantle any and everything that we did. They literally killed our leaders in the 70s so that we would be where we are today, so they can do what they want at will, and we have little to no power or recourse in government or in law or whatever the case may be. So I think we need to go back 60 years to those platforms and start rebuilding there. Start rebuilding and educating our kids and educating ourselves and coming together. And you got a t-shirt company, I'm gonna buy your t-shirt before I go to Walmart or whatever. If it just putting that money back into us.
Yeah.
And go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just make your comment.
And I was just gonna say, and that goes back to you, like teaching our children. I will say I'm really proud of my daughter. She's 13. She's way more advanced and way more knowledgeable about the world and the things that are taking place than I ever was at 13.
Yes.
Like, I had no idea.
We were kids.
We were truly kids, but because of the time that she's growing up in, I mean, I look at her Instagram posts and I'm just like, damn, she way pro-black than I am. Like, she's on everything. And I'm really proud of her. You know what I mean? Like, she is so aware, and I'm just looking at her in awe. So I think that the more our kids are unfortunately exposed to these things, I think the more it's going to create that economy and those things that we can do for ourselves going forward.
Well, if you look back to the Civil Rights Movement, and like I said, the Black Panther Party, those are teenagers. They weren't adults. They were young. SNCC, those are a bunch of black kids, college kids or whatever. Martin Luther King, as young as they weren't the adults. Those were the teenagers that were protesting back then. So like I said, we're right where we were 60, 70 years ago. So I think we just need to keep this thing going and not allow them to. We see the tricks that they used 60, 70 years ago to destroy us. And I mean, to the point where they were writing false letters. They wrote you a letter saying that it was from me, saying that I'm against your organization, and we fell for it. So now we know the tricks that they use. Like I said, we're back at the same spot from 70 years ago. Build upon that foundation. Go back and listen to the speeches of Fred Hampton. That he was murdered at 21 years old and murdered in his bed next to his 7-month pregnant wife, and this brother had never committed a crime. There was no reason for them to. Why was he murdered in the first place? Asada Shakur, they proved in the court of law that she didn't shoot the gun, that she shot. That she was shot with her hands up, so she couldn't have shot the state trooper that she supposedly murdered. The reason why she's the trial that she was eventually convicted of, but all of the cases that she was supposedly wanted for were dismissed and hung jury or acquitted while she was in prison awaiting the case to come to fruition. So it's just like they railroaded all of our leaders. So we got to go back and get back to that point and build upon that foundation that they started 70 years ago.
All right.
Concur.
Well, now we've gotten past all of that for the moment. We're going to lighten the load a bit, and we're going to come and we're going to bring you a conversation about the dynamics of sex and power. Now, speaking of tricks.
Oh my God.
So, Eli.
It ain't tricking if you got it, Shay.
The power of the pig. But, listen.
There we go.
Not sure who's going to be watching this video, so we will use the word vajayjay.
That's for me, huh? I know that.
Vajayjay, because
I'm not gonna say the P word.
We have the disclaimer here.
Oh my
but
God.
So why are we talking about this? Why are we having this conversation?
Well, so I saw a video that inspired this for me. A young lady who was on Instagram talking about money and the vajayjay, and basically to kind of sum up what she was talking about. The more money you have, the more access you have to certain vajayjay.
Right.
And I got to thinking about it, and I was like, it's really true. And it made me think about, it doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter how charming or how much of an a-hole you are, money trumps all of that. So I got to thinking about, and I've used this analogy before. If Beyonce, if Jay-Z was working at Wawa, same Sean Carter he is right now, real cool, light voice, real mellow fella. He was out there changing trash liners at Wawa. Beyonce's tour bus pulls up. He steps to her. What happens? Security probably whoops his ass, right? First and foremost,
shut down.
So, and that's a prime example of. And I don't judge man if he's handsome or not, but I'm just saying, my point is money puts you in a position to be able to interact with a certain type of woman.
Right.
There was a television show called Flavor of Love.
Ha!
So that says it all.
Right, makes sense.
Please don't remind me.
I refuse to
Please
watch
don't
it, but
remind me.
it existed.
Yeah.
Where they fought over this man.
Yeah. So, I got a chance to take notes off of the video that you sent me that you were talking about, and basically to paraphrase, what she was saying was, women are using their vajayjay to get access to men who are not on their level, and men are using money to get women who would never date them in the first place. All of these shenanigans are centered around money and sex, the power of it. So the one thing that I do know about women, and the example that you gave about if Beyonce tour bus was to pull up and Jay-Z was, in the parking lot cleaning up, or whatever the case may be. The one thing that we, right. It's the Rock.
It's the Wawa.
The one thing that I do know about, most women is we don't tend to date down. We want to either date at our level or up.
That's like when y'all cheat.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Where'd that come from? We ain't talking about cheating. That's a whole nother show.
It's just that's what y'all do. When y'all do it, y'all go for the gusto. Y'all ain't going low. Y'all go high.
Right. Exactly. Right. Like Michelle Obama said, when they go
high, when they go low,
we go high.
Yes. So indeed you do. In all situations and circumstances.
Okay. So wow, I don't know how I got teamed up on like that. But
your partner didn't want to participate.
My partner.
You on your own tonight.
She don't want to talk tonight. But that's okay.
Fellas are running the show.
Yes, sir.
So
who runs the world?
Girls. So anyway, with that being said, I do feel that we have a lot of women that are using what they got to get what they want.
Age old lesson.
Absolutely.
And it's really being empowered as well by songs like WAP, songs like Savage. I'm sorry, y'all. We're recording at my Oasis tonight, and the skeeters are out.
They
starting to bite a little bit, but
and it goes back to Little Kim and Foxy Brown.
Right, but see, to go off topic with that really quick, we do have these songs out here, and yes, women are doing their thing. They saying whatever they want to say, but my thing is, men have been saying this for years. Men have been, talking about women and calling them bitches and hoes and all kinds of, things about sex, and that wasn't an issue. But now when women is doing it, now we have a lot of the celebrities that are speaking out against, like a Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, saying that they're not ladies and they're not this and they're not that based off of some of the things that they were saying. Now, I'm not condoning the behavior. I'm not. But I'm just saying, I kind of feel like it is one-sided.
There's definitely a double standard in society. And I think that goes across the board for men can have multiple women and we're more of a man. Right. But if a woman has multiple partners, we a hoe. Right. So I think that's just part of the just the society as it is for whatever reason.
And women have accepted that narrative for themselves. Where men, women haven't embraced, if I meet somebody tonight and I sleep with her, and I tell the guys about it, okay, damn, what she look like. If a woman does that, she's judged automatically by some other woman.
Right.
Maybe like, well, damn, you a hoe, you know.
Right.
But I think women have to change their narrative for themselves. I had a talk with a young lady, and she was telling me, like, well, what would you think of that? Like, if I slept with somebody on the first night, I said, did you want to do it? Was it something you desired to do? I said, did you? And she was like, yeah, it's something I want to do. I'm gonna do it. I was like, then don't worry about it.
Right.
And I said, and she was like, well, what should the expectations be after I sleep with this person? I said, there should be no expectations, because if you don't really know him, y'all met at a bar, there was mad chemistry, y'all end up having sex, you can't have any expectations. And but if you feel like y'all talking and communicating, and you starting to dig this person, then I don't think you should wait for everybody to kind of make your feelings known. You know, put it on the table. You're an adult because you did an adult thing. So now be an adult and communicate.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't think it's a bad thing if a woman chooses to do that. You're not a hoe. Then I'm a hoe too, because I did it on the first night with you.
That's the biblical story. Jesus, we found this woman sinning, but where's the man in that story?
Right.
They never point that out in the Bible, but that's the male perspective, even biblically. Men were given that title because she was caught sleeping with a man she wasn't married to, but they want something to be done to her. But where's the man at?
Right.
But that's just the society as it's been for how long now?
Ever.
Since I've been in the world.
Forever, ever.
But interestingly, I've studied just into Egyptology.
Okay.
And they said a lot of the empires that we knew of, they were ran by the queens, not the kings. They were matriarchal societies. And I think they said most of what we know of Egypt and a lot of those older civilizations were more, the woman was the dominant figure. And if you look at a lot of the writings, the hieroglyphics, quite often once you know how to read them, you see quite often the woman is bigger than the man.
Even if you go back to slavery, the women were more so the dominant figure, you would think, because they were always trying to protect us and keep us alive.
And we still do that.
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, of course.
We still do that.
I'm just saying.
We do. I'm just saying.
You do.
We do. Y'all.
Women have always been the rock.
You've always run the world.
Thank you.
Women have always definitely been the rock in a patriarchal society.
Cheers to that.
So, let's get into this. Let's dive into this, because
is it so?
You have this term sugar daddies. You have a term now that women are people are using, sugar mamas.
Right.
You know, how important is it? Not how important is it, but money, the power of money, what it can get you. Because like you said, even take some of the NBA players, you know, they might not be the most handsome guy, but because of the money, they can get anybody they want.
Yeah,
anybody they want.
It's money provides access.
It does.
If I had $80 million now, I can go to Hollywood and hang out with Megan Good. I can hang out with Sanaa Lathan. Now, if I'm at parties with them all the time and I get to know them, I'm gonna bag one of them. And I know it sounds crass, but I have the opportunity to date one of them because I'm around them, and they're just regular people.
Right.
And you know, if you're a guy that's got all your teeth, you know, you got some things going on about yourself. You know, you speak fairly well, you dress well. Why can't you get her? You can, because you know you wouldn't be in here. Rarely, you wouldn't be in here if you didn't have the means to be in this circle.
Listen, even if he didn't have all his teeth, if he in there and he got the means to be in the circle, he's still gonna get her.
I've seen the dude obesely overweight, but his pockets was as fat as his belly was.
Tamar Braxton's ex-husband.
Big men need love too.
Vincent, prime example.
So I'm not knocking the big brothers, but
facts though.
If his pockets is as big as his belly, he can get anybody in that room.
Yeah.
Money is the true equalizer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
and for women as well, I know some powerful women who are some monsters.
Absolutely.
Monsters.
Absolutely.
I love them.
And I think that women they've caught on to the game because of the game that men play all the time. So it's just like, okay, well, if that's how we rolling, then that's how we gonna roll.
Well, I think that's the dynamic that's changed from our grandparents' generation, where our grandfather made the money and our grandmother stayed home. Our grandfather made the money, he was out all the time, he had access to the money before it came home, so he could do whatever. Mama had to sit home with the kids and whatever. Now the women are making just as much, if not more money as the men, so that power dynamic has shifted, so the women have all the opportunities that the men have, if not more, at this point in time. And now I think men are more so struggling with dang, she could do anything I could do now. Like,
right.
I can't just get away with it because I could hop on a plane and dip off the town with my little side piece.
Exactly.
I done came home, find out she done dipped off with her to a whole another spot.
Right.
So the dynamic has changed, and I think for men, it's a struggle that men have to almost take second position now. They're not. We can claim the king of the household all day, but if she can swing the shot just like we can, now we in there battling to see who's going to be the king of this castle.
And I think that depends on you and how secure you are too.
Right.
Some men can't handle that. The woman being the breadwinner.
Yes.
Most men can.
Right.
I would love if my woman made more money than me. Shit, shoot.
If it's us together and it's we and it's doing it properly,
exactly.
Because when it was the other way around, if daddy's bringing home the money and mom is controlling the checkbook and she knows X, Y, and Z, they're doing it together.
Exactly.
So even if the dynamic is flipped, if we're still doing it together, it shouldn't make a difference.
It shouldn't. But dudes can't handle that.
Right.
And to me, that, like, if you have a good woman and she out earns you, if she's still making you feel like the man, or a man, what is the problem?
Well, I think I said it on one of our last shows.
Yeah.
If me and my lady go grocery shopping and she pay for the groceries, I'm still gonna carry the bags.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's how I see it. But I don't think a lot of men can let go of that position or whatever.
Yeah.
Still the king of the castle as far as I'm concerned. But men, if they're not making it, if they're not dominating all of it, you do this because I say do it. Right. We got to talk about this. Our women are just as educated. Our women are just as have all the resources we have. So it's not about me just saying I'm the king and everything goes the way I say it.
So with that being said, on a first date, since money is power, you know, and when on your first date, right? It was always heard that the man is supposed to pay for the dinner, right? But then there was an expectation that after dinner he was going to get some, right? So
that's such an old
that's like antiquated.
So,
like,
right, I know, but it's I mean, that's what it was, right? So now we are living in a world where yes, people are dating, and it's just like, okay, you go out on a date, so who's supposed to be picking up the check now? Since we're in this, you know, women dominated society and women making more money that men are making, and you know, what are expectations? So she paid for the check, does that mean she expects something from him at the end of the date? Like, you know, what is your thoughts?
I think certain old school values can still be applied to that, because if she's making the money as well, that doesn't mean he's not. So he should still be able to front the bill. Now, the way I've done it with in recent years, I've taken the bill and she's done the tip. And that was just
that's fair.
Yes, that was just I had it, she had it, but still just kind of not necessarily following in those old roles, but still. And I've had women pay for shows or movies and I felt weird, like it was a birthday gift. Oh, for your birthday I'm going to take you out to see a show. And when we get to the ticket booth, we're standing there together and she's ordering the tickets, and then she reaches in it and I'm standing there like I feel like a sucker. Even though it's a birthday gift, but the person at the counter don't know that, and I'm standing there like I feel so weird. Like give me the card, let me slide it, and I just give it back to you when it's done. Even though it's a gift from me, for me it feels weird. I know some dudes that sit back like, man, she got it, I'm good. I just that doesn't work for me. Even when if I don't, it's a weird thing for me.
Yeah,
that's a male ego at its finest.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we all have it, and it comes out probably at the worst opportune times. But that's kind of what we do.
Wait a minute. I just thought about something. I just thought about something. I would say maybe it's been about a couple years. You and I met for lunch. We met for lunch, and it was your birthday had passed. I was supposed to come hang out, and I couldn't. So I was like,
yo, flake like you.
Shut up. Like, I was like, listen, I'll treat you to lunch. I got you. We was at that place up on Concord Pike, the Thai place. Can't remember the name. And you was like, I said I was treating, right? And that's what I was going to do. It was his birthday. I didn't have a problem doing that. So, but you said, give me the money.
See?
That's me. I know I did that.
You said, give me the money, because I don't want them thinking that, you know.
Give me your money. Yes. And let me give it to him, though.
I just thought about that.
Male ego.
Yes.
So, you know,
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
I do that now even with my wife. Like, it's the same money.
Right.
But, and now she knows. I never bring my wallet because I'm just lose shit all the time.
Right.
So she'll just give me her debit card out of her purse. And then I'll put it on the, because they're going to bring you the bill anyway. And then I just sign her name and everything. Like, I mean, you know, I just, let me pay. Even though it ain't my card. Still my money, though. I just got to do that. Because, you know what? I think we're so worried about, there's so many perceptions about us. Black men. I mean, I don't want one more added on to what I'm not.
I felt horrible that day at the ticket booth. I felt like crap. And like I said, I knew it was a gift for me for the day, but the whole little 3-minute process, I was just standing there feeling like I was this big. Like, I knew what it was, but I'm like, the perception. Oh, he one of them type dudes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so not
And the weird part is those people not even thinking about you.
Not at all. But in my head. Or me. In my head.
Yeah, in my head,
I'm just
it is
bugging.
one of those things.
So, I think we overcompensate for certain things sometimes, and we can't let certain things go. But it's weird.
So, sex. And I keep going back to the topic of sex and money. Because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, our kids, parents, if you don't teach your kids about sex, they're going to learn about it on social media. They're going to learn about it just by trying to look up some type of research for their school paper, and they're going to click on something that's going to take them to a whole different level, which is very scary. So sex has become so common and so
accessible.
And so, oh my God, it's not, the intimacy is not there anymore. People are just doing it just to be doing it. And it's just like, okay, like what is happening? Where are we as a society, where are we moving to? Because this is not good.
I think because women are independent and they're more free thinkers now. They don't have those, I don't want to say values. They don't think the way that our grandparents, parents and grandparents.
Those constraints aren't there.
They're alone. They've been blown out of the water. and sex, name something other than money that's more powerful than sex. I don't know what it is. Name something that has ruined. You can have a PhD.
I don't even think money is powerful than sex.
Well, they go hand in hand, sort of, depending on kind of what we're talking about. However, I think sex may be more powerful than money. I agree. But they've ruined. You can have a PhD. You can get ready to be going into your doctorate program or about to become a doctor. And because you were chasing this little nurse at the job, you're now done. Pastors, doctors, politicians. Sex is powerful.
It is.
The allure of it, the chase of it. And if you are a person that if you are a really sexual person, that's something you have to really keep your foot on. And if you and if women find you attractive or men find you attractive, you really have to keep your foot on that. And to manage yourself and to not get yourself in a bad situation. Sex is powerful, and now there's this fair exchange. You have the money, I have the vagina. What do we want? We already have. If I have the money, then what else do I need? I want the vagina now.
The one thing I don't have and can't buy, go create.
And with all of that, with using sex and using money to now come together in these relationships that were not supposed to be coming together otherwise, you're now finding yourself in, what's that word? An entanglement.
That is the word.
You're finding yourself in toxic relationships. You're finding yourself in toxic relationships that you now can't even get out of. Because we can go into talking about the soul ties that sex create, right? Which that's a whole nother show. But you are now being involved in toxic relationships there's nothing in common other than the money or sex. You're not getting the sex on a men's perspective if you're not buying or trading or giving out money like you're supposed to. You got to keep it going. And women, we're busting it open for I'm sorry, that's what's happening. They busting it open.
But on a way smaller level, even if you're a nice woman and I'm a nice guy and I want to get to know you, I find you attractive, I want to sleep with you at the end of the day. Maybe not the night I meet you, but if I find you physically attractive and I get to know you and I think that you are right for me, and we and our spirits kind of we kind of come together, I still want to have sex with you, even though those other things just all happen to come together for us. Because at the beginning of it all, before I know you, I just see you across the room and I think you fine. That's all I know about you. and I'm attracted to you because you have I like butts. You got a nice butt, so I'm on that. That's all I know about you off the top.
Right.
Now, if the other things haven't all fall in place, great. But initially, I'm not afraid to say I'm objectifying you.
That's what
and I'm attracted to that because I don't know that you are a great person yet.
Right.
And sometimes you're a shitty person, and I'm still gonna do it.
Yep.
In the past, you learn, you live and you learn.
Some of us.
Yeah, you know, we still like, oh, she crazy, but damn, it's good.
Man,
I'm gonna still hang around.
Crazy
anyway.
ones be the good ones.
They do. God, they had it good.
Put that thing
Wait
on
a
you.
minute.
Crazy
Pause.
women had it good.
Anyway,
We all know this.
so what I want to read this to you guys. I don't know it.
You must not be crazy.
Shut up. I want to read this, and this was by Iana the Alchemist. Okay? She says, sex is not getting continuously pounded from the back. That's a man using your body to masturbate.
Wow.
That's you not understanding the intimacy or trauma bonding through sex. That's you having not true connection to each other in the bedroom. That's childish sex learned from porn.
Serpent. No.
Any comments off of what she's saying? Because there's a lot of truth there.
Well, I just on the last entailing of the statement, I am an advocate of telling people what you see on TV don't mean you could do that to me. Porn is not. That's like horror movies and Superman flicks. That is not reality. It's still TV. So if your version of what we about to do was based off of what you just been watching, like, this ain't. It can go real left, real quick. So if that's your educational basis of your love making, like, we need to have a whole conversation first, but that's where the communication part comes in. But I think there's definitely some truth to that.
Absolutely.
I think the value of what sex is gone. It's not. There's no meaning behind it anymore. It's so readily available and accessible. So many people are making so much money that there are people that have done things and are willing to do things for a couple of dollars, and it has no meaning of this is somebody you. And even in my lifetime, I can honestly say, as a young brother, I was never told find you a good girl, settle down, and do the right thing. No one ever told me that at 16 nor in my 20s up to this point. It's just, and I get applauded for being whatever people think I am now as a single man just out here getting it, which I'm not. But that's the vision that some people have of me. Oh, you on stage? Oh, I know you be in Philly. You be in. Oh, bro, I know you.
And that perception brings JJ your way.
Without
even
me
if
doing
it's not
without me doing anything.
Yeah, the perception of.
Yes.
I have a friend, right? He has a whole. I'm trying to say this without. He has a program, right? And he and I have talked before, and he would tell me how, like, in high school, like, it wasn't necessarily the girls weren't feeling him,
Right.
and that caused him a lot of anguish and a lot of, being upset, and then, like, this little thing toward women, like this little aggression or hatred toward women. I'm gonna say hatred, but this little thing about women because they don't like me, so F them. I have this thing about women.
Some tension there.
So when he got to a certain status,
Some drama.
and people, it's definitely. When he got to a certain status, and people, even though he don't have all this money people think he has, but the perception of him having that money, the perception of the people he knows has allowed him access to chicks, and he takes it out on them for how he was treated in high school. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it's really deep for us. And I remember being rejected. I remember being back home growing up and being rejected by girls. And I'll give you an example. I think I'll tell this really quick. So the girl who we thought was the prettiest girl in school, and I'm going back to the 80s, light skin, long hair.
I knew you was gonna say
all of that. And I remember she said I was in 7th grade, and we were in the hallway, we were changing classes and whatnot. And my dumb friend Cedric Mosley, that's my guy to this day.
Hi, Ceddy.
This fool, he said, "Ew," I ain't gonna call her name. Eli like you, right? And she said, "Ew, Eli, he's so black and ugly." Now this happened in front of 20 people. So
into the 13-year-old
right. So now, and I didn't know how that affected me until years later. I was 21. I was back home. Our high school team, I made it to the state championship. So we're at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. We're all at the game. She's there. I hadn't seen her in forever, right? And now,
you're a man.
I'm 21-year-old me who don't live down there no more. Whole different thing. And so she sent a word to me, and I sent a very nasty word back to her.
What you say, friend?
From some stuff from 7-8 years ago.
Right.
What you say,
I was
friend?
13, so 8 years ago I was 21 then. I'm not gonna say it, but I told a little kid to tell her this, who came to me about it.
Oh, you told a kid
Which was
that?
whack. It was so whack.
Oh my
Looking
God.
back on it. But I'm just saying how, and that's a reference to my friend, how things affected him and how he treated women as an adult.
Right.
And it do, because our pride and ego is so shallow and it's so small.
Yeah.
And when it's damaged or bruised, we can't really handle that.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, chasing vagina will get your feelings hurt and your ego bruised.
Yeah. So my question is, how does a person feel, whether it's man or woman, right? Because we have women that, like I said, they're making good money, and maybe they seeing the dude is fine, but the dude is not on the the status level that she may be, but yet she making sure he good, right?
Think like a
and
man.
it's based off of what he may look like.
Right.
He looked good on her arm, right? So
She got a trophy piece now.
right. So regardless, whatever the situation is, whether it's man or woman that's doing this, deep down inside, like, you gotta know that if it wasn't for your money, that person wouldn't be with you. Like, you gotta know that.
I think people
And how do
know
you-
but don't care.
How do you?
I got it. I'm gonna get it.
I'm finally getting the fruits. I'm finally
Yeah.
getting the stuff that I was never able to
Yeah,
get.
man,
I'm gonna suck this up.
Right, but then when the doors are closed and everything, you're home and you're there and you're to yourself, one has to think like, damn, do she or do he really love me, or why they here? Come on. Like, I definitely know that thought has to come across somebody's mind.
And when
Regardless if they are getting it, but that thought has to come across your mind.
and from talking to people, here's what I know about that. When guys know that woman is there for an ulterior motive or because of status, that's when, I can't be crass on here, this is not get moxie. That's when you're doing things sexually to that person that you wouldn't normally do to somebody. That's when you try to demean them sexually. It happens, not every man, but it happens. Like you are doing stuff with her that you might not do with somebody who genuinely likes you, that who may genuinely like you. So I think it comes out in different ways. That's one way it comes out. Sexually, like you like, oh, well, you gonna do this, we gonna do this. And if you have money or status, they'll be with it. A lot of times. But I think it comes out. I think it comes out in very demeaning ways when you know that person really doesn't, and you talk to them greasy because you know they ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You call them off their name, because she's living better than she's ever lived.
So it's becoming like an emotional abuse, verbal abuse, and I think too, this is where you see a lot of narcissism come into play as well. Yeah, I definitely think that this is where you see the narcissism, because some people that are narcissistic or have narcissistic tendencies, they it's like no matter what they do to you, they still think you're gonna take it and be around, and it's about them,
Our president,
and the power that they have over you. So yeah,
I know I've always noticed older guys that only date younger women, because by the time you're in your 40s, regardless of whether you've been married and divorced at that point, but you've been on your job a few years, you're a little bit more comfortable, you got some money to burn. Now you go get your little 20-year-old who don't really know the value of a dollar yet. So you go get her a used 20-year-old Lexus that the air conditioner don't work, a couple of the windows don't roll around, the bumper got some scratches on it, but to her at 19, 20, it's a Lexus. She ain't never had one before. You got her little gold chain, you get her hair done every once a month or whatever, which is really chump change and nothing, but to her it's the world. And he just,
you borrow some bundles.
yeah. And you got older dudes who, I've seen older dudes do it, and it's just like, to me, it's clown behavior, but I got the money and
that feeds their ego.
Yes, it just, but they won't do that with a woman their own age. They know that ain't gonna fly.
Right.
But you got that dynamic is always
That's a sense of control too, though.
Yes. But even for the young girls, they don't, to them, in their mind, it gives them some validation. I got this grown man that's interested in me, and he got me, he buying me things. So now she thinks she's getting it, when like when in reality she don't realize that he's throwing chump change at you and just got you on the string.
And on the other side of that, some of these young girls, they know the game.
Oh, they get them.
Oh, they know the game. They are playing to the absolutely. I had a young girl tell me, she was like, "Yeah, he getting me. He buy me my weed. He buy me my bundles. And he do some other stuff that I'm not even gonna say on air. That things that is being licked that shouldn't be licked."
And if he has the money, then that's a small price to pay to get what he wants in the end.
So it's just. Wow, it's just a lot of stuff. It's a lot. We're living in a very interesting time right now, and you gotta come correct. You gotta come a little bit more with something on the table other than how you can do me and what you can do for me and all of that.
But I think that comes with maturity.
It does come with
we're lacking a lot of in society now.
Yeah.
Regardless of our age, the maturity part never kicked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely comes with maturity. Anything else you want to say on that?
No, I agree, and I think when you are really immature, I think when you're younger, I think that we're validated by how many women we can get, how much money we have, and how big our penis is. Men really, not all men. I'm just saying, when you're younger, these are the things that you're validated by in your head. And if one of those things are missing, say if you don't have the money, but your sex is great.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Then that'll sustain you. Or say if your sex is whack, but you got money. You got the money.
Right.
Things will sustain you. Now, if you one of those people don't have any of those things going for yourself,
you just jacked up.
You jacked up. Your car, you got a hoopty. You bringing 2 inches to the table, and you make $25,000 a year. I'm just saying, for example. Then that guy right there is in a bad way.
Oh my God!
Because you have no prospects
watching.
For anything. Who? No, God's watching.
I know. I hope the guy that you talking about.
He said, "Oh, God's watching."
Whoever that brother is. So we're validated by really superficial things when we're younger, because we, like you said, I didn't have a man to teach me how to treat a woman.
Right.
Everything I learned about women, I learned from other women. I learned from the women who raised me. But that's not the only perspective it is. But that's the only perspective I got.
Right.
So, but I needed a man to show me the example of how to treat them.
Right.
I heard them saying this is what you should do.
Right.
But we need to see that happening.
Right.
And
it needs to be modeled.
It needs to be modeled. And when the only advice we're getting is from our dumbass uncle or our older brother or our homeboys,
same age.
Right. If that's our frame of reference.
Right.
That's why we're screwed for so long.
Right.
It took me a long time to catch up, and I was so behind.
Yes, indeed.
And to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because we don't have those examples. It's sad, but it's true.
I think we have to kind of, just. I'm a single woman dating. Well, I'm not dating anyone currently, but I've been dating.
Player, never give it up, huh, player? There you go.
Never
Don't put it out there. You right though. You fixed it. Pimping ain't easy. Somebody got to do it.
But
make it look easy.
Shut it up. It's hard. It really is hard. Dating is not fun to me. And I don't actively date. Like, I might fall into dating someone, but I'm not actively dating or seeking. It's very, very hard because it's especially a woman of my age, where there's just certain things. See, if I'm dating you or if I'm with you, it's because I want to be with you, not because I need to be with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm established career wise. I'm good. I'm taking care of myself.
And you got an oasis.
And I'm not saying, and I got an oasis. No, but I'm not saying it's nothing that you can't do for me. Please don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I love my men. I love a man.
It's all good.
You're going to State Farm commercial.
Every woman should have a she shed.
I love a man that can lead. I love that, but at the same time, I'm not desperate, and I'm not going to, I'm just not going to just go with anybody. You know, it has to be someone that is special. And it doesn't mean that he has to have money. It doesn't mean that he has to have, you know, so far as career-wise. But I'm looking for more so someone that I can connect with chemistry-wise, intimacy-wise. Mental stimulation is so important. If you can't stimulate me mentally, then it's done. What we doing? The conversation is over.
So I have a question for you.
No, this ain't about me.
No. So you said you're a woman of a certain age, right?
Oh
now,
man.
I don't know what your dating range is. You know how many years younger or how many years older you will go.
You know how shut it up.
I know you dip in the kiddie pool here and there. However, that's besides the point.
Oh, I can't stand him.
That's besides the point. Damn, you made me forget my dad going.
Good. And your question? What was yours?
I've always been a cougar chaser, so it didn't. The age thing, I think I've grown into my age group now because I've always dated where I am now, age-wise. So, but I think you got it.
No, go ahead. I know. I remember.
I remember. The concept of dating now is off. I think if you ask most people what dating is, you're going to get a number of different answers. What's expected in the date, not a date, the dating process. What's expected throughout that process? What is sex? My thing is, I don't think sex should even be part of that process because I think if anything, sex is probably the easiest part of the relationship to maintain. I need to know whether it's sex. If you got the most bangingest, right. Some of us are long-winded. The best you could do is 4 hours out of a day. You still got 20 other hours of that day that you got to exist with that person. Right. What you gonna do for them other 20 hours? Today, tomorrow, Friday. Saturday. You might, the sex ain't gonna be, but it's a minuscule part of that day. What else is coming? So I think all of the dating process needs to be, do I like how you chew? Do I like how you smell on a regular basis? Do I like how you dress? Not just when you put it on, but when you on a regular day, when you at the laundromat.
Yeah. Do I like how you breathe?
Do I like how, can you do you have some other skills? Yes. It's so much.
Why you breathing like that?
Right. You sound like Biggie Smalls. That's a whole problem for me. That's not attractive.
Yeah.
I need you over there.
So I think the dating process.
Nobody needs that.
Is figuring all of those things out
before
sex even becomes involved in it.
Right.
Because
exactly.
the emotions come on one side once the sex becomes involved. So I think the whole dating process is just screwed up in general right now. 2 dates, if ain't nothing happening, we either moving on. You got to give me something to stay here because I'm not really sure, whatever, because you ain't giving me nothing. And I just think that's the problem because I'm not gonna learn enough about you in 2 to 3 dates. I need 6 months total at least because I got to see you when you were sick. I got to see you when you went through some financial troubles. I got to see you when your family got on your nerves. I got to see you in a bunch of different situations within the span of 6 months to decide whether I want to deal with you and your proclivities for the rest of whenever.
I agree. And you know what I always say? I want to meet the family member that you don't get along with. Because I'm gonna meet your mom, your aunt, everybody who's crazy about you and love you, and they're gonna tell me all these great things about you. I want to meet the person that you don't get along with that well, and see what they have to say about you.
You know what I used to say? I didn't really value a relationship until we had our first argument. Because I want to see in the midst of an argument, do you still love me or you going for the jugular?
Who you really
how you fight?
Right.
How do you fight?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
So that to me, that was, I wouldn't create an argument, but I kind of would, when everything was cute and butterflies and lilies in the beginning and the honeymoon phase.
The new car smell.
Yes, I'll wait for that first disagreement, regardless of what it was behind, just to see how you fight. Because for me and my, that was big. For me
that's
and my
Delaware bugs.
And my separation anxiety, my things with my mother, that's major for me.
Yeah,
like if we love each other, but then in the midst of trying times, you just like throw me to the curb, that's gonna trigger something for me. And if that's what you are, I can't invest more. And so I need to figure that out before the sex. Because even if the sex is banging, that's enough to make me walk away from you forever. Like I've been kicked out of women's houses before, and I'm like, okay, you know, it's wee hours of the night.
That's another show.
and I didn't have a car at the time, so I was on the bus, and I'm in the heart of Newark, New Jersey.
my
the bus stop.
Tell me it wasn't winter time though.
So it was cold outside, and
damn it, man.
So she knew she was putting me out in the worst element at the worst time, and I'm like, you're never gonna get anything emotional from me because I see how you fight when you got the upper hand.
Yeah.
So fast forward 2 or 3 years, she couldn't understand why we weren't gelling or why we weren't stepping up to the next level. Like I told you 2 years ago, you never were gonna be that for me.
See, so if you watching now, like you played yourself. You played yourself.
So I think it's you really got to get to know somebody, and that's not happening anymore. I think in general society, it's instant, automatic everything. Food, relationships. We want the money, so we start a relationship, just boom, right off the top. Relationship, the sex is there, and then 6 months down the road, I can't stand you.
And I think that's why it's important. It's so important, like I said, to form that mental relationship first. Establish that foundation. You know, like fall in love with. No, you ain't let me finish.
See, that's about falling in love.
No. I know.
I'm going to lay into it.
Growing. No, you grow in love. I don't believe in falling in love. You grow in love.
Tiptoeing to it.
But what I'm speaking of is fall in love with, you know, like I'm a music person. So, you know, anything music for me, it could just be sitting out here with a glass of wine and playing music. And I'm good. Like I'm all in, you know. I like to be able to vibe with someone that's on that same level, that I can connect with. Find things that you can connect with, things that are going to carry you. Sex is not going to carry you.
Right.
It's not just the physical act of sex is not going to carry you. You know, being able to just be, not having so many expectations, not worrying about what the end of this is going to look like, but just enjoying that moment. And I think, you know, right now it's just like boom, boom, hit it, quit it. What I can get from you, what you can get from me. And we're finding ourselves in all these toxic relationships that are going nowhere. And people are unhappy, and people are broken, and people are hurting each other. And we all know hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
So, you know.
I think a lot of that has to do with people. If you haven't been in a relationship for a long time and you haven't felt wanted or needed, it's easy for anybody to come along and snatch you up.
Right.
He could be the biggest joker ever, but if you are that person, you ain't had a boyfriend in 3-4 years, no commitment, you ain't had no good sex, or whatever that all encompasses, it's easy to be scooped up by a nobody. And I think we have to be careful about that. And I think Loschil mentioned something that was key earlier. As far as men go, your relationship with your mom is everything when it comes to how your relationship with the women are gonna be. And if that relationship wasn't stable, if it was a mean-spirited relationship or whatever it was, you felt mistreated or neglected, if that's your first reference of a relationship with a woman, how are you as a young man trying to navigate your way through this world going to have a healthy relationship with a woman? And not to mention if she now has daddy issues.
Right.
We're bringing all this
back and forth. Yeah.
She was, her last boyfriend cheated on her, got her pregnant and left her. So you're bringing all this energy together with no help, no treatment, no. When I say treatment, I mean, you know, no one's ever dealt with that.
Right.
That's why we have so many jacked up relationships out here.
Absolutely.
People crazy people just hooking up and then making these little crazy ass kids, and then I work with them at Head Start. I know that.
Did you just say that?
Yeah. But I'm just keeping it 100.
Oh my God! He did not mean that.
No, it's real. I said at work. They know.
I work with them at Head Start.
I work with those little kids.
I've had to bring parents up fighting at daycare before. So I'm like, if this is with the parents, you imagine the kids ain't
right.
It can't be right. It's a problem. It's a serious problem.
Yeah. We just we have to do better, because we are meant to, you know, God made us. He made, you know, and you know, not to get biblical because everybody has different beliefs, but he made the woman from the man. The man was made from the ground. So we are meant to be, we are meant to have connection. We are meant to touch. We are meant to have intimacy. Sex is supposed to be good. Sex is not, it's so taboo to even talk about sex in church, but that's where it came from. It came from the Bible. That's where it was created. Right?
Interesting, yes.
That's where it was created. But then it was made to be perverted through other entities.
Well, Question.
And
Since we're talking about the Bible and
okay.
God. Just a quick question. So, and I don't mean this it's going to sound blasphemous, but
disclaimer.
Didn't God have a baby mama? Technically?
Pretty much you was.
Yeah.
So,
Well, who's Jesus' pops? Who's Jesus' mom? Was he in with her? Was they in a relationship?
So Joseph was the husband.
Boom! You're pregnant. Here's my son. I mean, technically, like, if we want to look at it from an earthly perspective, and we shouldn't do that. But that's God had a baby mama.
Okay.
Yay! So that's how I know all this marriage stuff is all man-made doctrine that's been introduced to us.
Right.
It ain't nothing in the Bible about God and Mary getting married and all of that, and they raising little baby Jesus. I mean, but am I lying?
Not at all.
Am I lying? Person in the back that ain't on the camera.
So
the standard was set a long time ago.
So I have a question. I have a question. I don't even know where we are with time right now, but I do have a question. Do you?
56 minutes.
Do you so silly? Do you believe that monogamy? And I know we can do a whole nother show on this, but do you believe that monogamy is non-existent at this point?
No. I would say no, because I honestly believe that most people can't handle more than one person emotionally. I think people like the guys even like to talk about, yeah, man, I'm gonna have 2 wives or more, whatever. But when it really comes down to it, man, they getting on my nerves. I can't, man. I come home and this one complaining and this one is da-da-da-da-da. So I don't think most dudes can handle that emotionally, to be able to be there for each woman that he claims he wants. I think when you get what you claim you want, eventually you're gonna fall back like, nah, let me just get one.
Okay.
Instead of, I think some people fall into monogamy by tripping and stumbling through a whole bunch of other stuff and realizing at the end of the day that stuff ain't working. I need to get back to just the focal point. One person. It's enough. Yeah, it sometimes can be somewhat of a headache. I can't imagine having to deal with multiple women every day. What?
He's right. I'm surrounded by women. I have 2 daughters. I have a wife and I have an ex, right? That my oldest daughter is by. So it's one of those things where you're constantly navigating the feelings and the emotions of other people. Being a father and being a husband,
and
or yeah.
It's a lot of
That's the most selfless thing you could be. Like, you have to really give of yourself all the time without the guarantee of getting any of that back. You alright?
It's like cricket. It's Jiminy. I don't know what that was. That was on my shoulder.
So
having more than one woman is exhausting. I agree with him.
But people are doing it.
Yeah, but it's
so
not.
You can't be that damn exhausted.
You can't do it successfully. You're not going to meet everybody's needs. It's impossible.
I've never seen too many people do it in a long one. I've seen it go for 5 or 6 years, but I can't say that I know of a relationship that's extended beyond 6 years. Out of the couples that I personally know that's done it, I don't know of any personally.
Okay. Okay.
I just don't think we're equipped to meet the needs of the emotional, mental, and physical needs of more than one woman for a long period.
For long term, on the long term, no.
Sexually, maybe I could hit you off today and hit you off here, but all the other stuff that is involved with that, that's impossible to sustain that.
And even sexually, I had a partner who had the perfect situation. Ex-girl, she changed her ways and decided she liked women. They reconnected years later, so now he back with her and the girlfriend. And he told me, he was like, bruh, it's too much work. Because I got to do this and do that, and then I got to turn over, and he's like, man, I be tired. Like, I don't even want to do this no more.
And you still got to go to work the next day.
This was like 3 weeks into it. He was just like, nah, I changed my mind. I don't, But when it first happened, he was like, yo, guess what?
Right.
Bragging, telling everybody.
3 weeks later,
I got it made.
3 weeks later, he was like, bruh, this is work. Like, bruh, this ain't, his whole mentality. So, no, we talk that big game, but we can't do it. We can't sustain emotion.
Right.
Emotional is enough for us because we're not as emotional. So for us to keep up with y'all once, one of y'all, like you said, you got to keep up with the kids, the adolescents too.
Yep.
Adolescent women. And then you got the grown ones, and then I don't know the dynamic of the relationship with the ex, but that's a heavy relationship in itself.
Heavy. It's okay, but there's still needs that need to be met in that area because of that other child. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's always navigating. That's too
much.
Yes.
So
I've been doing it for a long time.
Men that say they want that don't know what they're asking for.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So
monogamy is going to stand strong. I believe it's going to make a comeback. I believe morals and value, all that's coming back. We taking and bringing it all back to the education, reteaching these grandbabies because our kids is over. The internet then took over. So we're gonna start somewhere with the next generation, resetting these values and understanding. Little girls understand. Right. Every little boy don't start telling little boys are dirty again. Something. I don't know. We gotta start re-educating.
Well, I think I say this a lot. I've said this on past shows. How, growing up, we teach our young girls how to be wives and mothers just through playing with doll babies and babies. And while the boys are over there crashing trucks and cars and playing superheroes, they're not being taught how to be husbands and fathers. Right. So, I mean, if we're trying to build a monogamous society, which honestly I don't think it's going to get better. I really don't. I think it's just going to get even worse than what it is. But then you have to start at an early age. You have to be able to instill in them what it means to be a man, a young man. What does that look like? And we're not doing that with our sons. And I say I'm so passionate about that because I have 2 sons. I have 2 young kings. And I, as a mom, and their father is very much involved, and he talks to them and I talk to them, but I don't have a problem talking to my sons about anything. I don't look at them and say, oh, that's something you need to talk to your dad about. No, you can talk to me about it and you can talk to your dad. Right. But we're going to have the conversation. You can get the perspective from a woman and you can get a perspective from a man, So, I don't know. I don't know. I just think that, I'm not saying that, these generations ahead are lost, but Jesus.
Yeah. They got a tough road.
We got some praying to do, it's a lot going on.
I believe that goes back down to the dynamic of the family structure has been broken down over the last 70 years.
Absolutely.
We don't have the fathers in the households for a number of different reasons, and we're 3 generations deep now of fatherless households. So we have young men who don't know how to be fathers and husbands. We have young girls who claim they don't want husbands now, or whatever the case may be. So I think it's so much. So that's why I said I think the process needs to go back to re-educating our children on, like you said, the daughters automatically get it sometimes just through play with dolls. We need to start, I think, in certain cultures, with young men, we got to a certain age and it was the rites of passage where you went off somewhere in the woods with a bunch of men and they made sure you knew how to hunt. They made sure you knew how to, all the things that you had to do to provide for this family that you're going to have one day in the future. We don't have that anywhere in our culture anymore. So we're grown men with no idea what we're doing as far as how to be grown men and how to treat women and how to sustain a family. We're teaching each other at the same age. And television and the internet now is just a whole miseducation.
And we're teaching each other through the hurt and pain that we've been carrying. Right. From generation to generation.
Trauma.
The trauma. We're born into trauma. As you know, as black people, we are born into trauma. So we're teaching each other how to navigate through this life with the trauma that we have. So there was something that I saw on social media, and I know I'm going to say this wrong, I'm going to get this wrong, but it was so, you might have posted it, I'm not for sure. Right. But it was a little boy holding a sign, and the caption said, there's something to the fact that they're taking our fathers out of our homes and then killing them in the streets. And then I have to go to school and be teased about not having a father. When I saw that, I was just like, yo, like, that's so deep. Because I've worked with kids, in therapy where they are being teased because their dad isn't there. Right. And then when I say, well, what happened to your dad? And like, my dad was killed. My dad was gunned down. My dad is in jail. It's like we have to do better, man. We gotta do better.
But Shea has to start even prior to that woman becoming pregnant.
Right.
That work has to be done with her, because all of that stuff, we all know, is passed down in the womb. They come out with traumatic issues off the top. You know, and now we got all these young people out, these young girls and boys, they're out here popping pills, they smoking weed. They're not even thinking about, they're pregnant and they doing everything they've always done. And they don't, I don't think they take that stuff serious. The effects that it has on these babies. And I work with them, so I know. I see it firsthand. And for me, not only the father not being there, but the mom being 18, 19 with a 3-year-old, the grandma being 35, and then her mom being 55.
Great grandma 50.
Great. No one's taught. It's just a generational thing. And everybody's having kids early. No one's taught anybody anything. And here we are, this little baby with a house full of women, and no one has the ability to teach them anything.
Nope.
4 generations in the
It's
same
a
house.
pathology. It's definitely a pathology.
Really sad.
Yeah,
really sad.
it is sad. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap up. You know, we all getting bit out here.
I've actually done okay
in the Oasis, but I mean, this has been a good conversation. I believe. What you guys think?
Oh, I loved it. I think we got away from the money part.
We did.
That's what we do, though.
We
go all over the place.
I believe that we definitely probably could agree that the sex is more powerful than money. It all goes hand in hand, but I do think that sex yeah, absolutely. So, any questions from the audience? Okay,
we got a whole mime over here. She ain't got nothing. Nobody.
So, guys, I want to thank you again for tuning in to the Rebirth. The conversation again was the dynamics of sex and power, and I'm sure that we can probably come back and do more on this. But thank you for tuning in. As always, be blessed, take care of yourself, and we will see you soon. Peace.
Money, power, and sex. Money, power, and sex. Every hour I'm vexed. However, nevertheless, I feel I'm the best. Real class, for real